Dear confreres, all Crosier friends, young and old, near and far, the 2022 General Chapter directed me, the Master General of the Canons Regular of the Order of the Holy Cross, to share with you the stories from Elder Crosier about their experience of living religious life. The living history they are. This living history may inspire all Crosiers, including former Monday, and everyone who enjoy it. It may foster the mystical dimension of our life and increase a deep sense of belonging and connectedness. This may as well become a reason for communication among us and open to the world as our way of evangelization, bringing a good news to the world.
Eu sou Padre Leonardo, 90 anos e 64 anos de padre, de Crosier, desde 53, então é 70 anos, né? 70 anos de Crosier, tá bom, né? Eu sou de uma família muito religiosa. Só, por exemplo, meu pai, ele tinha 2 irmãos que eram padres, um Crosier, outro jesuíta. Um irmão leigo, dos irmãos de Maastricht, e 3 irmãs que eram irmãs de caridade. Só nós rezávamos sempre em casa, antes das refeições, depois das refeições. A gente ia à missa todo dia. Antes de ir na escola, a gente ia à missa. Aos domingos não tinha missa, também missa, mas de tarde tinha que ir na bênção, né? Fazia parte. E nas festas de Páscoa, de Natal, era comemorado de uma maneira bem festiva. Nós éramos pobres, mas mesmo assim, com toda simplicidade, o religioso estava no meio disso, né? Então, nós não rezávamos terço todo dia, não. Mas a gente tinha muito amor a Nosso Senhor. Minha mãe era muito devota de São José e a imagem de Nossa Senhora também tinha um lugar especial em casa. Então, é um ambiente muito religioso. Todos eram coroinhas, etc. Quase todos os meus irmãos começaram um pouquinho no seminário, mas deixaram. Só Afonso, meu irmão, continuou e eu. Afonso, que está na Indonésia, e eu aqui no Brasil. Então, isso na parte religiosa. O que acho também muito religioso é que os nossos pais nos ensinaram muito espírito de responsabilidade, né? Cada um convivia uns com os outros. Nós éramos 15 irmãos, todo mundo tinha que ajudar. Todo mundo tem que cumprir as suas tarefas, etc. E ajudava um ao outro, não é? A responsabilidade, e mamãe cobrava. E ele tinha, dar valor às coisas, dobrar a roupa direitinho, né? E, gente, eu nunca me lembrei, como criança, que eu ganhei um par de sapatos novos, nunca. A gente passava de um para o outro, né? A roupa, a mesma coisa. Eu fui estudar no seminário com roupa, depois da guerra, então, logo depois da guerra, em 46, por roupa que minha mãe fez para mim. Não tinha, né? Um chinelo que era de ginástica, né? Que era meu sapato, né? Na pobreza, ninguém reclamava disso, não, né? A gente passou fome, mesmo assim, nós estamos aí, né? Então, eu acho muito importante esse espírito de simplicidade, de sobriedade, de responsável, de disponibilidade e de humildade, né? Para mim, isso faz muita parte da vida da gente.
My name is John Fleischhacker. I'm a priest in the Crosier order. I was raised in Stearns County, Minnesota. My parents were first generation Americans. That right? These two grandparents were born in Europe and two were in the States. Was a German community. We spoke German as kids, and it was a farm family. I have 5 brothers and 1 sister. Sister was the oldest, and she became a nun. I guess she's kind of our caretaker or surrogate mother, because my mother worked on the farm once in a while too. And my sister took care of me. So when I was about 6 years old, she went to the convent. I wonder why. We're always sick boys. So I had my grade school in St. Martin, was a public school. Our teachers were all Catholic, and everybody was Catholic in that area. So we had religion in school, and I didn't even know any Protestant people at all, except a few of my dad's friends who were in the township board with him, and they would come visit and talk with him. Sometimes, like the oil man, they were Protestants. And I grew up as the youngest of the boys. Roman followed the sister, and he went to the Crosiers. He went to St. John's first. Then he joined the Crosiers as a cleric, and after 1 year of philosophy, he dropped out and became a brother. So he was a brother here in the order. He died when he was 90. He was about 90 when he died. So and the rest of my family, sister died when she was 95. Ralph died when he was 95. Artwin will be 97 pretty soon and still going strong. Merwin is 96 and he's doing pretty well. And Richard was next to me. He died of cancer when he was 82. So when we were growing up, we had kind of a strict upbringing with my dad. My mother was, she always had a smile on her face. And Dad was the disciplinarian. And I guess since I was the youngest, I got a different idea about Dad than my older brothers did. So, and we were expected, no, not even expected, but we had no choice, I guess, because we didn't know there was a choice of going to church on Sundays, and a lot of devotional things too, like Stations of the Cross and benediction, and we prayed the rosary quite often. And the parents are very generous with the neighbors, and they would be hosting people. And our table was always open for one more person, or 2 or 3. Whoever came, was always enough food. If somebody came at the last minute, no worry, Mom and Dad would take care of them. So I learned the hospitality from my mom and dad. And our table talk was a lot of times more business conversation too, but it usually had to do with farming. We had 160 acres at that time, and we had rented another 80 acres from my uncle, and had about 25 milk cows with some pigs and chickens. A lot of chickens, because Dad raised chickens for the hatchery stock, so they always had to have special care. Chickens, that was always a pain in the butt to clean out the chicken coop. So that was our Saturday morning job, was clean out the chicken coop. for 600 chickens. Yeah. And we hated that. School was fine. I had a man teacher for the first 3 years, and he retired, and spinster lady took over schoolma'am, and nobody really liked her. I think I was kind of her pet in a way, but I didn't really care for her either because she had some funny ideas. And then we had Mr. Ditterman for the 5th to 8th grade. Mr. Ditterman was a very good teacher, but a strict disciplinarian. So I learned a lot from him, and he encouraged me. He encouraged me a lot and was a good mentor. My idea about becoming a priest started way young, I think, because my great uncle, Dad's uncle, was a priest. And he was a diocesan priest in the St. Cloud Diocese, Father Haupt, and Father Lambert Haupt. I didn't like him because he didn't. I can't say I didn't like him, but I didn't care for his style because he had cufflinks and he was a cleric, I guess. And when I got the idea about becoming a priest, I said, if I be a priest, I certainly won't be like that. So, Mom had a friend who was a Benedictine, was in the Bahama Islands, and he was a missionary there. And he would come and visit us every couple of years, and he was a very likable fellow. So my first contact with the Crosiers was, I seen Father Demers and Urban Schmidt. They were from St. Martin. They were the 3 male priests and Father Urban. So I knew the Crosier habit, but Brother Roman joined them in 40. He made profession in 45 in Hastings, Nebraska. And my brother Richard and I accompanied Mom and Dad down to Hastings for the profession. That's when I first got to know the Crosiers. And I felt that they had time for us. I was 10 years old, maybe. Dr. Van Dyke was the teacher there, but he joked with us and talked with us. And Father Ben Omischke was novice master. He talked and joked with us. And the prior, Father Cadillac, he talked with us. And some of the seminarians, that time was Emmett Zachman and Vincent Eiserman, Art they called him. He later became a diocesan priest. They took us on bike rides, and we had a grand time in Hastings, Nebraska with the Crosiers. Yes, they shared themselves with us, and we liked them. So when the time came to go to the seminary, maybe just before that, in 6th grade, we had a pastor that came to St. Martin. He was only there for 6 or 7 months. Then he died. Father Gilbert Winkleman. He was one of the guys too that had time for us, and I liked him, so I decided to become a priest, I guess, at that time. The rest of the pastors that we had in St. Martin were, at least in the early ones, they would sit in the rectory and would never visit people. So I didn't want to be like that. Somebody once asked me, since there was a Benedictine parish, how come you didn't become a Benedictine? I said, well, if they wouldn't listen to all the grumpy ones there, maybe I would have.
1953 começou o noviciado para mim. In Heer Ritter, a nossa turma é de 11, 12, né? O mestre de noviço era o Bram Lamotte. Né? Para ser sincero, foi o pior ano da minha vida. Por quê? Nada deu certo, assim. O contato com o mestre de novice era nulo. A gente ficava sentado um na frente do outro e ninguém falava nada. É horrível, né? Essas perguntas todas, mas não dizia nada, né? A gente tem que fazer limpeza de batina. Nunca andei com roupa de mulher, né? Tem que jogar vôlei de túnica também. Tem que tomar vinho nas festas. Nunca tomei vinho na nossa casa. Em casa, meus pais nunca bebiam, nunca vi nada disso. Eu não entendi isso nada. Mas a gente tem que aprender a mexer com breviário, tem que marcar muito todas as palavras. Ah, meu Deus, que trem chato, sabe? Mas não morri, não. Sobrevivi e o que eu gostei foi que podia tocar um pouquinho, acompanhar, tocando no harmônio as horas de oração, etc. Né? Mas para o resto, tem que meditar, tem que rezar muito, etc. Não, era muito estranho para mim. Né? Não aprendi nada da vida de Crosier. Né? E também não. O sócio é uma pessoa muito boa. Né? Não, esqueci o nome dele. Mas ele é uma pessoa muito humana, gostei. Depois, então, do noviciado, eu fui para fazer filosofia junto com o padre Haroldo. Nós dois fomos para a Bélgica, para acrescentar algum elemento lá no convento em Achel, porque lá na Bélgica o número de candidatos era bem menos. Então, também talvez porque eu tocava, né? E assim, nós dois fomos para Achel. Os melhores anos da minha vida de estudo, fora de série. Não só por causa do castelo, eu tinha um quarto tão bom, tinha um harmônio no meu quarto, né? E a comida era lá, era uma festa, né? A gente tinha que celebrar, participar da missa, por exemplo, aos domingos, e depois meditar depois da missa, e só depois da meditação a gente ia tomar café. Mas já cheirava que o irmão lá embaixo já estava fritando o fígado. Oh, que cheiro bom, sabe? E todo mundo ria muito, né? Mas era muito bom. O mestre de noviço, mestre Morso, foi muito bom também. E ele falava, você fica só falando em comida. Mas também era tão bom lá. Os lanches, tudo, formidável. O que era bom demais também foi os cruzes que moravam lá, Keizer, Ferrou, Ten Haag, o Monsieur Blessing, né? De Congo belga, né? E melhor de todo mundo, o melhor superior que eu já tive na minha vida foi Simon Arts, que mais tarde também foi provincial. Que homem formidável! É um cruzo verdadeiro, pela bondade, pela alegria que ele irradiava, a paz que ele dava, o interesse que ele tinha com todo mundo, não só comigo, não. Né? Ele era um homem bom demais, um pai de família realmente, um coração muito grande, mas muito positivo também. Ele sabia ficar bravo mesmo, que coisa boa. E o Zwart, o professor de metafísica, ótimo, formidável. Nós foram anos muito felizes na minha vida e também toda semana ia lá no convento dos trapistas para aprender mais a música com o monge lá. Foi muito bom também, aprendi muito com ele, tá? Foi formidável. E eu podia tocar, ensinar, tocar no meu quarto. O padre Zwart, o filósofo que morava embaixo, ele disse, não me importa não, você pode tocar à vontade. A bondade, a convivência lá era fora de série, né? Muito bem, ele sente muita Eu sempre falo, os belgas parecem muito mais como os brasileiros do que os holandeses, sabe? Eles são gente muito boa, tá bom. Depois, então, foi para Sint-Agatha, voltando num convento grande, perdido. Não era meus colegas, nunca convivi com eles, né? Era terrível, né? Morando num quartinho de nada, acho que 2,5 por 2,5. Porque muito escuro, lá em cima. Desde para lá. Passei muito mal de estômago esses anos lá também. Né? Mas sim, pessoa muito boa também. O superior Van der Ven, né? Grande homem. E nessa estrutura, como catequese também, né? Exegese, né? Mas um homem muito bom, muito santo também. E o nosso professor de exegese, Tom Van der Elzen, fora de série, muito bem, homem competente. Até hoje eu guardei todas as cadernos de anotações de exegese que ele fez. Até hoje ele é atual, um homem muito competente e fora de série. O resto eu joguei tudo fora de estudo, mas dele, fora de série, muito bom também. Tá? E também tinha aula de música, de 15 dias, lá em Ure, tem que ir lá de bicicleta, né? Andar, não sei quantos mais quilômetros era, mas estudei mais piano, sabe? Com ele, com Vinke, um professor muito exigente, não gostei muito não, mas desde para lá eu aprendi e me deram essa oportunidade, graças a Deus. Terminando o estudo, mais um ano de pastoral, em Bélgica, em Leuven, né? Lovânia, muito bom também. Tinha que estudar português, porque nós íamos para o Brasil. E a aula era dada no colégio lá, em francês. A Rola e eu, nós fomos lá um dia, na segunda-feira de manhã, e nunca mais voltaram. Para aprender português, dado em francês, o professor só falava francês. Nem mãe, né? Que coisa, é horrível, não dava não. Mas os professores que nós, nesse ano pastoral, tínhamos, e também a prática, numa paróquia lá na Holanda, na Eindhoven, foi muito bom, gostei. Mas foi pouca coisa, né? Poucos meses, então. Aí eu fui para o Brasil. Muita contra a vontade da minha mãe, que xingou muito por Billy Redwitens, o Van der Rees, o mestre-geral, porque você é muito doente, sempre foi muito doente, você não pode ir no Brasil, etc. Bom, da minha turma de 11, quem sobrou sou eu. Todo mundo já morreu, eu ainda estou vivo. O menor e o mais fraco. Mas Deus escreve certo por minha história, então a gente não entende nada disso, não. Fiquei 2 anos aqui em Belo Horizonte, aprendendo principalmente português com uma pessoa formidável. Foi a minha mãe brasileira que me ensinou. Uma professora formada, ela é também enfermeira formada. O marido dela é chefe no departamento de estrada e rodagem, não tinha filhos. E deram a chave da sua casa, porque tinha piano lá também. Toda noite estudava português. Solamente que não podia ter estudado há mais tempo, né? Mas graças a Deus fui anos muito felizes na minha vida. E ela continuou sempre a ser minha mãe. Até mais tarde, quando ela adoeceu, ficou mais de 10 anos acamada, isquemia cerebral. Mas nós cuidamos muito bem dela. E eu sei como ela gostava de mim, como eu adorava ela também. E ela está lá num lugar muito alto no céu. Esse casal ajudou muito aqui na paróquia de Santa Teresa. Sempre foi assim. Encontrei tanta gente boa aqui em Belo Horizonte e depois também 12 anos em Juiz de Fora. Chorei muito quando me transferiram 7 de agosto, 2 anos depois, né? Que eu estava aqui em Belo Horizonte para Juiz de Fora. Mas fiquei lá 12 anos e a minha paróquia era 12 quilômetros da nossa casa. Lá tinha 2 hospitais de tuberculosos e pobres, né? Não tinha nada. Naquele tempo, era em 63 até 75, não tinha televisão, não. 6 meses ficar no hospital tomando penicilina, sem fazer nada. Então eu lutei muito para laboterapia, que os doentes fizessem alguma coisa. Então, comecei a passar filme lá toda semana, aí, comprei muitos instrumentos de música, violão, cavaquinha, etc. Eles tinham muitos talentos no meio deles, era muito bom. Fazíamos as festas todas de Natal, formidável. Sempre encontrei muita ajuda, muito apoio, graças a Deus. Foi um tempo feliz também. E o convento também era muito bom. Nós convivíamos muito bem, uns com os outros. Eu acho que isso é tão principal, que a gente vive bem no convento. É um sinal nosso, né, de Crosier. E juiz de fora foi muito bom. Depois me chamaram de novo para Belo Horizonte, em 75. Eu tinha que ser superior aqui também, era o mais novo de todos, e menor também de todos, né? Com gente mais idosa, etc. Mas o que fazer? Cuidar da paróquia, do hospital de câncer também, ajudando dar apoio também no outro hospital, São Francisco, e tinha 24 horas de aula no colégio de residentes. Nunca trabalhei tanto na minha vida. Esses 3 anos aqui em Belo Horizonte. Essa paróquia não é muito boa para trabalhar, não. É muito antiquária, né? Gente muito. Sempre foi assim, não pode mudar, não. Ih, meu Deus, horrível, né? E gente que não saía da função que tinha de presidente de apostolado de oração, já criou barba de tantos anos que ele já era presidente do apostolado. Ainda não mudava nada, horrível. Né? Não é fácil, não. Me chamaram para Nova Vista depois. Gostei, fiquei quase 40 anos lá, no Hospital Maria Pena também. E tinha ele cuidar da Maria Antônia também, né? E aqui em casa ajudar também. Tá? Então, a convivência aqui em casa não foi os piores, não. Tinha, quando chegaram mais pessoas, era mais complicado, né? Mas a gente tentou, e sempre procurei que eles ajudassem uns aos outros.
So after grade school, in 1949, I became a freshman here at Crosier Seminary. At that time, the whole staff was priests, the whole staff. Brothers were on the farm cleaning, and some did office work and stuff. And generally, they were very kind, helpful teachers. And I was here for 6 years. 6 years, so that would have been finished second year college in 1955. And then before that I asked, let's see, who was Father, must have been Tom Brandon. Father Carrick must have been the Vicar General. Those days we had Father Carrick. I petitioned him to join the Crosiers, and I was accepted. So in the fall of '55, I started a novitiate in Hastings, Nebraska. Hastings, Nebraska is, it was about 5 or 6 Crosier priests, and those days we always were kept separate. The priests had their own recreation and dining room, not dining room, but recreation. And the brothers, was a place for young brothers too, so there was quite a few young brothers there. There's postulants, novices, and professed, and then solemn professed. Each of them had separate recreation rooms, and we weren't supposed to talk to people, and we weren't supposed to talk to the brothers or priests. So I always thought that was kind of strange, which changed later on. And I had a hard time keeping my mouth shut, so we had what they called major silence. Major silence was from after night prayers till after Mass in the morning. So we had 2 Masses. Those days we had 2 cars in Fort Wayne. There was about 30 philosophers and theologians, maybe 10 priests and 10 brothers. We had 2 cars. 2 cars and a pickup truck and a bus. So we had to sign. Usually you didn't get a chance to get a car, but it was controlled by the prior. So I was one of the drivers. There's only 2 or 3 of us. And we had designated days when we would take people to the doctors and supposed to make your appointments, let's say on Tuesdays and Tuesday afternoons. And there was sometimes a hassle to get everybody rounded up because it's like young calves in the pasture in springtime when they all run around all over the place when they got downtown. So I remember one time I left one of the guys who was habitually late or didn't show up in a designated place, and he had to find his own way back home. And I think he had some talking to from the prior afterwards. But, so at least I didn't get in the heck. I joined the Crosiers mainly because I fell in love with the people first, I think. And then I got to know. In the novitiate, we all had different jobs too. That was work and play, and my work was mainly in the grounds. I was kind of groundskeeper, and so we would meet with we called him novice master. Father Brummer was my novice master. We'd meet him, I'd say maybe every 2-3 months. One time I think he wanted to scare me. He asked me if you got your bags packed? I said, well, Father, I really never unpacked them. So I was a little hesitant yet. He got kind of a chuckle out of it, but so through the year I got to like the place more and more, and like the people, and like the order. I was especially, we had in the monastery, on the altar we had a crucifix with Christ on the cross as a priest with a vestment. And that showed me the glorious cross. And the cross I got to love more and more over the years. So, and there's different times when I had different ideas about the cross, but I guess we all grow. I certainly have to grow a lot in my spiritual life. Get spiritual direction. Different people tried to teach me music, but that was another story. Father Clem Gustin had a beautiful voice and was a good music teacher and stuff. And couldn't get any place with me. So. Johnny, you sing silently. So sorry about that. People tease me about it. I take it. it bothers me a little bit because I figure it's kind of, in a way, almost bullying, belittling, but I take it as I smile and go with it. So my personality is that way too. I tend to see the good things in life and the positive things. Be positive. Costs the same to be positive. So, in 1956, we made our profession, our class. Then we moved to Fort Wayne, Indiana, where we are a house of studies. They were just building a new building at that time, so our Saturdays and Wednesdays were usually work days. So it was kind of a rough schedule, because we expected to work at least 10 hours a week or something like that, and do studies. And our books were in Latin, so we still had the old building in Fort Wayne for that year, with the old academy, so it was kind of a ghost house. So it was 4 stories high and had an elevator in it that we pulled all kinds of pranks once in a while, like cutting off the electricity when somebody was in the elevator. Yeah, a lot of fun. And we had a lot of camaraderie with all the seminarians. There was about 30 of us there at that time. So, yeah. And our recreations were usually, I remember there was a piano in the recreation room, and Father Clem Gustin was our associate. He was our assistant director, and he and Father Louis Moraz would play piano and sing and try to get us to sing and stuff. We had a pool table in the recreation room, and some of us played cards, and others just yacked and talked. That's basically what the recreation was. As far as treats were concerned, maybe once a week we got a bottle of pop. Hard liquor, maybe once a year. Maybe a glass of wine at Christmas. So, okay, it was a little different nowadays. So. At that time was also excitement because the general chapter in 1955, was that the one that changed a lot of things? A lot of Americans went over there, which was kind of I think it was the first chapter, general chapter after World War II. So the American delegates must have been, I'm trying to visualize the picture, must have been 8 or 9 that went over there, over to Europe for the general chapter. All the priors at that time. So that was kind of a revolutionary chapter because that's when we became provinces. So the Crosier province was established as the American province and the European province. I don't know how many provinces there were at that time. There was one in Holland, there was one in Belgium, and one here. And I think Indonesia was a pro-province or something like that. I don't know exactly the history of all that, but and Father Benno Mischke was elected as the first provincial, and shortly after he was provincial, that was in 57. Shortly after 56, maybe 57, he got an invitation to at least take a look at the mission in Osma, which was Dutch New Guinea at that time. So during the chapter in 57, Bishop Tillemans, the bishop from Merauke, was our current diocese down where we were supposed to work. He and Father Boulars came to the United States and made a presentation. And Father Benno Mishki himself went down to the mission to see what it was about. He spent 2 or 3 months or 2, I think. And when he came back, he was all excited and he showed pictures and did some artwork. And the Americans accepted that mission anyhow. And then started recruiting. And I was kind of interested because I liked the excitement. I didn't want to be a teacher. So I volunteered. I remember when I talked to Father Benno and he says, "Are you ordained already?" I says, "No, but a couple of years." "Okay." He says, we'll groom you a little bit. So he took me underneath his wing and showed me all kinds of things about the missions and talked to me. And so my mind was made up at least at that time. So I always had a hankering for being good to people that were on the fringes, let's say. Yeah. I want to be kind to people that needed help. And that was kind of my ministry down there. I tried to take the people where they were at and be good to them and not lord it over them. Help them as much as possible. And a lot of our time there was spent in giving medications. I practiced medicine. Had to practice giving shots and doing suturing, bandages every morning, pills every day. Usually about an hour every morning. People would line up in front of the house. Sometimes emergencies. People got bit up by different animals, pigs, wild boars would gore people. So I remember one was had to sew up somebody's stomach, and I don't know what all. He would have died otherwise, so he ended up living. So we didn't have anesthetic, so practice it. So I spent 19 years in the missions down in Aspen. And first couple of years, the first year they called it fifth year theology. I was supposed to learn from Father Savada, who later became Bishop Savada. I stayed with him supposedly for the first year to learn anthropology, because he was an anthropologist, and practice of mission. But the year turned out he was sick half of the time. He had an appendicitis attack, and it took him, those days, it took him, I think it was 3 weeks to a month to get to the hospital. The hospital was in Merauke. It was probably longer than that. Luckily, I had some antibiotic medications that the doctor had given me before I left the States. And he was swallowing those pills and kept the infection from spreading, at least. So he finally did have his operation, and he must have been gone 2 or 3 months. So I was kind of practicing pastor in his village and the villages, together with Brother Bernard, who was also stationed at Dickard, Sawa Irma. And after my full year there, I filled in for Father Delmer Hesh because he was on vacation. And when he left, he didn't have a return visa. I think that's what they call him. He didn't have return papers anyhow. So he was held up a little bit. At this time, the Indonesians were taking over, so it was all kinds of conflict with paperwork and stuff. It was the best ups. Then I was assigned to Comor. Comor is a village that didn't have a resident pastor. And it was this time in 1965 when the conflict with Father Schmidt, our local government official, Mr. Finby, were butting heads. And Father Schmidt got shot, was killed by Mr. Finby. And Father Schmidt was dead. There was only a couple of us left in Agas at that time. Some were on vacation. I remember I heard about it on my transistor radio. So of course, unbelief, can't be true, there's all kinds of rumors going on. So after an hour, they were supposed to reconfirm a message. I guess they just wanted to get more details. And then I heard for sure that he was dead. And it's my duty to stay and do my work. After that, I was assigned to his parish. So it was kind of funny feelings going into his house, and all of his personal effects, and didn't know what things were. And some of the stuff was in Dutch. I didn't know what it was all about either. And anyhow, I was in this Yamash mission for 15 years, and really got to like it there and loved it there. And I spent a lot of time with the people. We tried to visit people every day in the village. Tried to learn more the language. Language was difficult. Asmat language was difficult for me. I knew enough so they couldn't sell me, but the Indonesian language was, I didn't study the Indonesian language, but it came, I just picked it up, I guess. As later on I learned some vocabulary and stuff. So my Indonesian language was kind of a simple one, like the people of the village would use. And I would preach and liturgies on Sundays were well attended. Church was always packed. Virtually everybody was in church. Yamash was a village of about 1,050 people, and a lot of babies. Baptized about 6. Usually had 2 groups of baptisms a year. There was usually about 35 kids in the group. A lot of crying, and it was fun. Fun seeing all these young people. Marriages were usually in groups also. I'm rocking my chair now, so I make it. Marriages were sometimes up to 20 couples. They got married at one time. Yes, they grouped them together so they could have parties. They would share the expenses. And yeah, preparation was by me and by sometimes the catechists or teachers would help. And, yeah, and we started parish councils, which was all new from Vatican II. We tried to follow Vatican II as much as possible, and actually must say that we were quite well up to date on it. When I returned to the States in '82, Father Rimmerswell and I came back at the same time, 1981. He came back a couple months before I did, and we attended a course kind of upgrading in theology in Santa Barbara, California, and we found out that our Vatican II we were kind of more up to date than a lot of people were, a lot of pastors in the States. And but my last vacation before returning to New Guinea, I call it New Guinea, it's West Irian. We switched names down there so many times. So. And but the island is called New Guinea, the whole island. Papua. I told Bishop Sawara that I would come back for one more term. So in '77, I says I'll come back till another three and a half years. Then I came back here in the States. And that's another chapter.
Visão mística da vida Crosier. O que se entende por mística? Voar, entrar em êxtase, mas que não tem nada a ver com mística, não. Eu já li muitos livros sobre isso. Maria Clara Benninger, por exemplo, não é um livro fácil, não, uns 400 páginas, mas que fala muito sobre isso. E outros também. As pessoas mais simples podem ser místicos. Não precisa ser padre, ou bispo, monge, irmã de caridade, nada. Uma abertura para Deus, a convivência com Deus. Deixar Deus tomar conta, né? Acreditar, confiar, né? Em Deus. Como Jesus confiava como Pai, conversava com o Pai, discutia com o Pai, se entregava ao Pai, chorava, né? Não queria estar, mas afinal seja feita a vossa vontade. Que bonito, né? Que a gente possa chegar a este, como Maria, este ano. Isso é mística. Colocar-se à disposição de Deus. Né? Como eu já falei várias vezes no sermão também, o evangelho marcante para nós religiosos, para nós cristãos, quando Jesus manda seus discípulos a cumprir a missão dele. Ele mandou 2 a 2 para ir, e ele falava 2 a 2, cruz é assim, não anda sozinha não, anda sempre em conjunto com, né, o que ele faz, trabalho, o que ele reza, o que ele celebra, é sempre em conjunto dele, né? Assim Jesus também mandou os discípulos a ir 2 a 2. Não leva nada não, Não precisa ter roupa bonita, não precisa ter dinheiro, não precisa querer mostrar os diplomas que você tem, os cursos que você fez. Jesus escolheu. Não foi gente mais inteligente, mais bonita, mais santa, nada. Pedro, Judas, Tiago, João, etc., como nós. Nós não somos melhores do que os outros, não. Nós não somos mais santos do que os outros, mais inteligentes. Nada disso, não. É vontade dele. Ele quer mostrar, mesmo você, como você é capaz de, né, de continuar a missão dele, confiando, indo lá, não leva nada, não. Não precisa, não vai pregar, não, porque nosso Deus falou, quando você chega, a paz seja nessa casa. Você tem que transmitir paz. Eu ficava tão satisfeito quando os doentes falavam assim, Padre, o senhor transmite paz. Isso é tão bom, né? E assim, a nossa missão é essa. Come o que tiver, não fica exigindo, não. Eu quero isso, eu não gosto disso, nada disso, não. Essa abertura para o outro. Você não vai levar a sua pessoa assim. Eu quero impor. Não, eu quero ouvir. Eu quero ver. Eu quero compartilhar. Conviver com você. Isso é evangelizar. Né? E curar as pessoas. Você cura as pessoas como a mãe cura o dedão que está doente do filho. Ela dá um beijinho, dá um amor, dá carinho e fala, vai fazer alguma coisa, meu filho. E assim sai. Foi mesmo. A dor continua, mas o amor é maior. Então, o que deve marcar nossa vida Crosier, eu acho, a simplicidade, a humildade, a sobriedade. Não é luxo, não. Não para ser um convento tão bonito que tem tudo isso, tem tudo. Ah, meu Deus, que lindo, que bonito. Para apresentar aos outros a simplicidade, a sobriedade, a disponibilidade. Esse aqui, né? Isso é muito importante. A boa convivência. Aceitar as diferenças. Nosso Senhor conviver com ladrão, né? Conviver com corruptos, com tudo, com mulher adulta, com prostitutas. Nós podemos conviver com uma prostituta? Eu quero ver. Se a gente é capaz, como leprosos, etc. É tão bonito, né? Eu vou no hospital, mas eu vou ficar longe. Para não, eu vou lavar bem na mão, etc. Eu vou ficar de máscara, etc. Mas o que você é? Você é um pai, você é uma mãe, você é um amigo? Ou você é um caso aqui? Não. A vida Crosier deve ser marcada pela simplicidade, pela sobriedade, pela disponibilidade, pela confiança que tem. Deus é meu amor.
Okay, my idea about mysticism changed over the years. When I was young, I remember I kind of equated it with piety. And it's certainly not what I have in mind now. So, piety to me is not holiness. I say this because we had a lady, she would go to church every morning, walk 2 miles about, and we tried to be kind to her and say hi to her and stuff, but she would ignore us because she was so pious that she was always in prayer, so didn't have time for anybody. So that's not holiness to me. For me, I see holiness in the people and things around me. I see it especially in nature. That's why I never got bored in Osmot. Probably sit on the board sometimes for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours and going up and down the rivers and the moppy boats, and didn't get bored because there was always something new to see, although I had seen them supposedly 50, 60, 100 times before. I mentioned that to my spiritual director one time, that I see God in nature and the sun, and she said, "You're a mystic." I said, "I'm a what?" I used to equate mysticism with people like Teresa of Avila and people that were pious and holy and did things like that. So to me, I enjoy walking every day as much as possible, every day, and I see new things all the time. Hear different sounds, hear leaf formations, birds flying, different sounds. I've been tuning that a little bit more in the last couple of years as I walk with a friend who pointed out things to me too, what she sees. So and also in the Crosier life we have our divine office of the hours, which we pray every day, a number of times, or different times of the day. And that's the time when I get fed with my spiritual, and now of course during the Eucharist. That's my prayer life pretty much. And I try to get to church before 15, 20 minutes earlier most of the time. Try to reflect and do some meditation about thanking. Most of my prayers are a thank you prayer, thanks and praise. I tend to pray thanking the Lord for all the goodness that He has done for me and for us, and how He takes care of us. I am sometimes disappointed when I tell the Lord about something, I don't probably get an answer. A lot of times I hear the words, at least in my mind, maybe it's wishful thinking. I take care of you. I take care of you. Don't worry. Didn't I tell you I was going to take care of you? That kind of stuff. I think praise is, you can always get a second cookie from Mom when you say, "Mom, that's so good." You tell Mom the cookies were no good, and she probably wouldn't make them anymore. It's kind of equating God with goodness. Praise goes a long way in thanks. We all like to be praised too. In my ministry too, I try to see people where they're at. And, I always said people don't care how much you know, but they want to know how much you care. They want to be with you, they want to visit with you, they want your attention, and not everybody does that. So when we pray to God, thank Him, praise Him, honor Him that way. In Crosier life, I certainly learned different kinds of prayers. We used to have meditations for a half hour before noonday prayer. Never got much out of them. Reading spiritual reading, and it was kind of dry with that. But I do like some spiritual reading books, especially lives. Like I read about people like Cardinal Bernardine and his Henry Nouwen's books. Rojas' books. I like them. So I also, of course, like the scriptures. I fell in love with the series, The Chosen, a series of movies or videos that it's in the fifth. They just released. They just filmed the fifth year right now, so it'll be coming out this fall again. It's about the life of Christ and the apostles in the early church. So I've spent. I get it on my television screen or my computer screen, and I watched the series at least 5, 6, 7 times. Get more out of it every time. I know it's not follow scripture exactly, but I get a lot out of it. I get to know the apostles. I get to know Jesus and through the characters that through the actors that the characters represent. The Chosen. That's what I usually, a lot of times I watch one episode a day, especially during Lent and Advent. And I've been reading Old Testament books, and they're kind of boring because all they talk about is so-and-so killed so-and-so because God was not pleased with this king, so they lost. That's not my kind of God. God doesn't punish us that way, I don't think. Because what we've done, God is merciful, God is kind, God is generous, God is all loving as He showed us on the cross. He died for us, He rose for us, so we can live. I was marveled at how He can turn things around, how something bad happens to a person, bad situation or something, somehow or other twists it around so we come out better people because of it. It's sickness or something. It's one step ahead of us. I'll take care of you. Didn't I tell you I'm going to take care of you? Yeah. That's kind of my spirituality in a nutshell. Ask the mystery, of course, the death, dying, resurrection of Christ for us. Turn us around. He makes us ordinary people extraordinary. You know, Crosier spirituality is something mystical, it's mysterious, hard to explain. We live it, it rubs off on other people. Has to rub off. If you're open, it comes in to the person. It doesn't just happen, but you have to be open and willing to receive it. There's something about people see us differently than a lot of other, certainly other diocesan clergy, let's say. They see us differently because I think it's the care that we have for each other, sharing, how we love each other and fraternal life. And we also, when we were pastors, we encompassed these people much more than a lot of the secular clergy do. Pay attention to them. Right now, I'm retired. Retired. But you never retire as a religious, never retire as a priest, never retire as a person. You have to live, do the best you can to live out the goodness in you and share it with others. I think it's just being yourself, being, I know that being yourself, some people take that wrong. I mean, like Rosa, he has a different idea what that means than what I did. Just to say, being yourself is being honest, being genuine, being true. Don't put on any masks. Being spirituality, which makes us a simple people, but beautiful. I compare it to people when they're dying, when you're accompanying people that are dying. It's just beautiful just to open up. And here I am. It's me.